Xu Yonk approached Lao Tian during breakfast with a deliberately friendly demeanor, requesting his assistance in having the crew save portions of their daily rations to provide for the stowaways in the lower decks. She argued that since the crew often threw away uneaten food, it would be better to redirect it to those in need. Lao Tian responded cautiously, questioning whether she had discussed this with Zhang Yi first. When Xu Yonk admitted she had not, citing a desire to avoid bothering him, Lao Tian's attitude shifted to amusement and refusal. He explained that meal standards were strictly set by Zhang Yi for operational efficiency and crew morale, emphasizing that altering rations without authorization could lead to accidents at sea due to reduced energy levels. Xu Yonk pleaded for alternatives, but Lao Tian only offered the solution of collecting leftovers, which Xu Yonk vehemently rejected as degrading, comparing it to feeding livestock. She then proposed her brilliant plan of sea fishing to supplement food supplies, citing her past experiences on cruise ships. Lao Tian immediately dismissed this idea, pointing out the impracticalities. The ship's speed and rough waves made fishing impossible, suitable fishing areas were not guaranteed, and bait would require sacrificing their own food. Xu Yonk grew frustrated as her plans were systematically dismantled by the experienced sailor. Lao Tian continued to reject Xu Yonk's sea fishing idea, emphasizing the differences between recreational fishing on vacations and their current situation, including the lack of ideal locations, bait, and the physical impossibility due to the ship's speed and waves. Xu Yonk's frustration mounted as her plan was dismissed. Lao Tian suggested again that she speak directly with Zhang Yi, then return to his meal, leaving Xu Yonk angered by the crew's apparent lack of compassion. Sun Wanqi joined her, expressing outrage at the crew's behavior and proposing they donate their own food to the lower decks. Xu Yonk agreed, feeling a sense of moral superiority and viewing the act as sacred. She decided to involve Zhou Kor, believing her to be sympathetic and hoping to indirectly involve Zhang Yi through her food. They went to Zhang Yi and Zhou Kor's room, where Zhou Kor answered in a nightgown. Xu Yonk loudly announced their plan, but Zhou Kor declined, having already eaten, and expressed concern that the small amount of food might cause fighting among the refugees. Xu Yonk dismissed this worry, insisting the Yanlu Island people were well behaved. After they left, Zhou Kor and Zhang Yi discussed their naivety, with Zhang Yi expressing annoyance and planning to teach them a lesson. Xu Yonk and Sun Wanqi proceeded to the lower decks, where a crew member warned them of the danger but opened the hatch upon their insistence. Upon entering the lower deck, Xu Yonk and Sun Wanqi announced they had brought food, prompting a frantic rush from the refugees that knocked them to the ground and resulted in them being trampled. The crew member who had opened the door intervened by threatening with his gun, stopping the chaos and helping them up while reiterating the danger. Xu Yonk and Sun Wanqi, frightened and injured, fled in panic back to Xu Yonk's room. There, they tended to their bruises and shoe print marks, with Sun Wanqi crying and reflecting on how hunger had turned the refugees into wild animals, while Xu Yonk felt indignation at their ingratitude. They briefly discussed the food situation on Yanlu Island, but their attention shifted to Tommy, who woke up crying, consuming their energy and causing them to temporarily set aside the food problem, with Xu Yonk rationalizing that missing a few meals wouldn't be fatal. Meanwhile, in the lower decks, a fight broke out over the spilled food, resulting in injuries that went untreated as the crew refused to involve Dr. Zhou, telling them to suffer the consequences. Resentment grew among the refugees, now directed at the stowaways for stealing their food, leading to continued conflicts during mealtimes. In the lower decks of the Jinfeng, a volatile atmosphere of hatred and resentment brews among the starving refugees, who direct their anger toward the stowaways for consuming their food rations. The refugees whisper accusations against Xu Yonk for allowing the stowaways on board but fear retaliation from Zhang Yi's armed forces, leaving them frustrated yet immobilized. Among them, the fishermen group led by Lu Dahai, including Rome Lei and Yu Gang, huddle in darkness, radiating menace from their past killings during the apocalypse. Lu Dahai expresses intense fury toward the stowaways, insisting they must be eliminated to secure proper food, but his companions caution against reckless action due to the ship's strict hierarchy. Meanwhile, in the stowaways' cabin, 22 individuals barricade themselves, led by three figures: Zagu, a Malayan real estate tycoon with gangster roots, Elad, a tall Sanda athlete, and Yamet, a Muay Thai fighter. They have secretly formed a cohesive force since boarding. In a dimly lit room, Elad voices concern over the refugees' growing hostility and their numerical disadvantage, fearing a violent uprising. Zagu, calm and experienced, dismisses the fear, confident in his ability to dominate through ruthlessness. He declares his intention to establish control over the lower decks, leveraging the crew's indifference. At dinner time, Xia Changming delivers food buckets as usual, maintaining separate rations per room. As refugees gather to collect food, Zagu, Elad, and Yamet lead a group of stowaways menacingly into the corridor, their aggressive presence causing others to retreat. Lu Dahai, fetching food for his room, cautiously questions their numbers, sensing trouble brewing as Zagu's gang aura intimidates the crowd.